Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm late. I hope the notification goes out. I was trying to get a hold of some people that used to watch my shows before when I had a much bigger platform. But you know how it goes in the YouTube streets. You speak too much truth, and poof, there goes your channel. So, that's happened to me a couple times. So yeah, I just thought I would come on and say hello and talk about some stuff. I'm going to wait a second before I get started to see if anybody comes in. Hey, Evelyn. I can't really see. Hang on, I got to put my glasses on if I want to see the chat. Oh, thank you. Thank you, thank you. It doesn't feel like my birthday. It's just another day. But it's my birthday and I'll rant if I want to. How's it going? How's things with you? My dog, like usual. It's funny because when I used to do live streams, Evelyn, you'll remember this. You've been with me forever. Remember when I used to do live streams and Dakota would start beaking off in the background, like he's got a deep bark. He's a big dude, right? So yeah, I was trying to get him in the house because he wants to hang outside all the time, which is fine. But the neighbors next door are outside doing work on their house or whatever, and like he's just barking up a storm and he's driving me crazy. So I was trying to get him in the house, but he's got this fun little game now where he expects me to chase him all over the yard just to try and get him in the house so he's not a distraction or a disruption. Okay, come on up, let's go, get up here, come on, you relax. Yeah, now you're gonna suck up, aren't you? Yes, you are. Hey, Mike, how are you? Oh, thank you for the birthday wish. It's just another day, in paradise. Yeah, he's a big dude. Hi. Okay, go away. You're right up in my grill. Go, dog. Okay, back up. He's standing like right in front of me, staring at me. He's hilarious. Go. 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 Okay, go. Go on. Get up here. Or go away. Like you're in my space, breathing your hot air on me. Go. Sorry, you guys. See, this is what he does. It's hilarious. He used to always disrupt my live streams before. You can see how much has changed. He's a big 150-pound German Shepherd. So, yeah, he's bigger than most people. He used to ragdoll me around when I used to walk him when he was younger. He's about 6.5 now, so he's definitely calmed down a lot. But yeah, come on up. Get up here. There you go. Just trying to get him settled, so lay down. So yeah, what's going on? What's going on? Evelyn, you want to come up? Catch up? No? Yes? No? Maybe? I don't know. I just thought I would come on. I didn't really have too much planned for today, really. I don't know. The older you get, yeah, it is a huge dog. The older you get, you kind of don't really want to celebrate your birthday anymore. It's one of those things. I want to say I'm gonna just stay 29 forever. But yeah, he is a huge dog. He's a King German Shepherd, and he's black and like a tan, like a reddish tan, with a strip of white down his chest. He's got really unique markings for a shepherd. He's not like a typical looking shepherd where it's like tan and black. It's more like almost an auburn or a red kind of thing. But yeah, he's a good looking dude for sure. And he's great protection. And it's funny because like it's just me and him, right? So he's very territorial of his mother. And very overprotective. And I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing, but sometimes I can't even predict what he's going to do. And it's funny because I didn't know this until like the first lockdown that we had. We went to Niagara Falls one day because like I was so sick of being cooped up in the house. And this was during the first lockdown when like everything was closed. So we drove to the falls and I took him with me. Normally I wouldn't be able to because there would be like millions of people down there. It's a very touristy spot. And it was funny because like we were the only ones there. And we were standing, like I was looking at the falls, and there's like a path that we were standing on, right? And it's about 12 feet in width. And I don't know why these guys, it was four guys, and they were walking down towards us. And they were really like, they had a lot of room. They shouldn't have been in my space. And I guess that's the way that Dakota took it as well. And you know, they were walking by, and I don't know why. I've never seen him do this before. This was the first time that he had done this, but he leapt like 5 feet in the air with his jaws open, and he grabbed the guy's jacket and shredded it. And I was just like, oh my God, right? Like, thank God. Actually, I was the one bleeding, not him. But yeah, like, thank God, you know, that like that situation absolutely could have been worse. But I don't know why they were so close. And obviously, for whatever reason, Dakota felt threatened. And yeah, he was just showing them, don't get too close to my mama. So I'm okay with that. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I've never really seen him do it, like not to that degree before. You know, he's nipped at a couple people. Like if I go to the gas station or something, and like the guy at the gas station sticks his arm in the window, he'll kind of nip at it. But like when I say nip, I don't mean like bite, because he's a big guy. If he wanted to bite, there would be stitches, there would be blood, there would be things hanging out, right? But he nips them to let them know, like, hey, you know, back off. So it's, you know, he doesn't. It's funny because when I got him, I got my friend, his brother. And this is when I actually found out that dogs can actually be pregnant with two different litters simultaneously. And I did not know that before. So like, you know, this litter was about, I think, 8 or 9 puppies. And there was 6 of them that looked identical to Dakota. And then there was like 2 that were like Australian cattle dogs and multicolor and extremely different looking. Like you wouldn't even know that they were from the same mother. Like I seen the mother, but I never seen the father. And I had no idea that this guy would get this huge, right? But I no longer talk to that friend, but they did grow up together for a couple years, but we just kind of lost touch. And you know that old chestnut, how that works out, right? So, but yeah, I mean, so I would love to get another dog for him to have, like, you know, more socializing with, but I don't think he would do well with that because he's his mom's suck. And it's been me and him for too long now, I think. So, and I don't know, like I don't really trust him around, like, because I don't even know when he's gonna, you know, let somebody know, like, hey, back off. So maybe it's like my anxiety too, because it's like, who knows what he's gonna do? Like, I really don't know. He has a mind of his own in that regard, which is funny because my last dog was a shepherd as well, mix, and she was so shy and so timid. She was my suck, you know, but she had no aggression whatsoever. Like she was very timid. She was very scared of men. This guy is scared of nothing. So yeah, it's pretty funny, but well, it's not funny for the ones that are getting nipped at, I guess. But so yeah, what's going on with you guys? There's there's a big controversy thing going on right now. I gotta show you guys the picture of this because it's absolutely fucking unbelievable. You won't even believe it until you see it. Hang on. Like, oh my God. It's brutal. Hang on 1 second. Let me find the picture. Do. Okay, 1 second. Where did I save it? Oh yeah, fuck. This is brutal. Okay. So 1 second. I'm gonna turn the camera on for a second. Do you guys see this picture right now? Oh. Do you see that? I want to make sure everybody gets a good look at this. All right. So I hope you've seen that. But the picture I showed you is a teacher in a suburb of Toronto. Thank you. Thank you, Adam. That was a teacher in the suburb of Toronto. It's called Oakville. And the school year just started here. And apparently it's a dude transitioning into a woman, which, hey, you know what? Live your best life, do what you do. Don't force your will on me. And as far, live your own life. If it makes you happy, that's fine. The problem that I have with this is that this person is in the transition, obviously, of, transgender, or I'm not sure, turning into a woman or identifies as a woman, or I don't even know. But they're teaching young children, like 12, 13, 14 year olds. So this is how this person decided to walk into the classroom. Big old nips showing, big old boobies showing. Now, there's people protesting out in front of this school. Like, parents are outraged. And rightfully so, because they are young, impressionable children. And personally, in my opinion, I think that this person is looking for a lawsuit. That's what I think, because, I mean, imagine the outrage if, like, for example, a person, man or woman, walked into a classroom with a phallic symbol that you could clearly see through their clothing. Imagine the outrage that that would have within the school system. So there's people, like, literally, this picture, I believe, surfaced yesterday. And parents are protesting out front of the school, and they're talking about the dress code and how it only applies to the students, not to the teachers, not to the faculty. Well, that's a double-edged sword, okay? Because the teachers are supposed to be setting the example. And I'm sorry, like I said, live your best life, do what you do what makes you happy. But when you're doing it in front of young children, like, there's so many things that are going on here lately that I just, like, okay, the term woke, used to have an entirely different meaning. And I don't know if it does where you guys live now, but to me, it's almost like, let's see how far we can push people now. That's what I think woke means now. It used to mean, in my mind, it used to mean at one time that you were aware of what was really going on in the world, and you were not, easily misled by propaganda and by mainstream media and by people preaching, a false narrative. But now it seems to have taken on a whole other meaning, where it's like, you can show up to school in a short dress with the biggest boobs I've ever seen. People are saying they're prosthetic boobs. I don't know. I don't I To me they look like balloons. I don't even know. Like, I mean, it's I feel it's really inappropriate to be exposing young children to this kind of stuff, and this is what they're doing. And they're talking about, like, adult issues with children. And it's really disgusting, in my opinion, because children are young and impressionable and easily misled. And I was just talking about this with a friend of mine before I went live, and I was like, I remember being a kid a long time ago and, like, being sheltered from a lot of things, because my mom, she loved us that much that she wanted to protect us from a lot of things. But now it's almost like you have to have all of these conversations with kids at such a young age, because if you don't, the school is going to. They're teaching young children about, like, sexual orientation, sexual stuff and at an extremely young age. Like, I mean, and these young minds are very impressionable, and it's just, I'm glad I'm not a parent. I'm glad I don't have to worry about this kind of stuff. I worry for my niece. She was just born this year, and she's going to be exposed to all of this kind of stuff. And I don't know. I would be losing my mind. People are losing their mind. They're out front of the school right now protesting. And I swear this person, I don't know what gender they identify with. Like, they're making things so confusing for people. Like, you can't even have a normal conversation anymore because you don't know what fucking pronouns to use. Like, this is absolute insanity. Like, and I swear it's all a distraction from a bigger, deeper, larger thing. And they're distracting you with all of this bullshit. So you're not paying attention at what's really happening here. And that's the problem that I have. and many other people. And if I were a parent that had a child enrolled in that school, I would be protesting out front of that damn school every single day until that person is fired, lawsuit or not. And I don't know who it was. Maybe it was like the school board or the principal or somebody, the spokesperson for that school was like, we encourage, gender identity and like all of these things. Like, you guys are making people so confused. You're making it so people can't even have a debate logically about any of this stuff without somebody getting offended. Like, stop being snowflakes. For fuck's sakes, this world is already mental enough as it is. And like, this is, the agenda that our establishments are pushing, not worrying about any of the real causes, like inflation, a record high inflation in 40 years, people becoming homeless because they can't afford their homes anymore. I'm not far away from that. And I have a good job, but I'm struggling and I can't do it, and it's done by design. And that's what they're doing, right? So, I mean, don't worry about any of that. Don't worry about the record high inflation. Don't worry about the bills that they're trying to pass to censor our freedom of speech. Don't worry about the Charter of Rights, the highest level of law of the land. Don't worry about any of that, because we got this big teacher with some big ass titties walking in your schools, teaching your children that this is okay. It is not okay, in my opinion. Whatever you want to do in your spare time is fine. But this person is doing this deliberately to get money. There's absolutely no other explanation for it at all whatsoever. I'm telling you. Like, and I'm sorry if my opinion offends anybody. I'm not trying to offend anybody. This is my opinion. And if you have a different one, I am totally okay with that. Like I said, live and let live. You know what I mean? Don't force your will onto me, and I won't force my will onto you. Like, I've never been that way. I've always been the person to say, do your own research, come to your own conclusions. Don't follow the masses, because sometimes the M is silent. And it's just, the world that we live in now is just, wow. Like, no words really. Sorry, I needed a drink. But yeah, like, I mean, it's just yep, had to have a conversation with my grandkids, 8, 6, and 5, because the kindergarten teacher is a woman, but has a beard and a mustache. Yeah. It's crazy having those types of conversations with kids that young. Yeah. Because first of all, they don't have the intellectual capacity to understand. Second of all, they're very impressionable. They're trying to make it now a thing where children under the age of 18 can get, or sorry, wait, they're trying to encourage in schools now that don't listen to your mommy and daddy calling you a good girl. If you want to identify as a boy, or, if you're Jill today, you could be Jack tomorrow. Like, you're confusing kids. And that's a very scary manipulation tactic, because one day those kids are going to be the future of this country, of all countries. And like, I can't imagine. Like, I really can't imagine. It's this world is going to hell in a handbasket. Oh my God. But yeah, I mean, I don't get it. I'm glad I grew up in the time that I did. I feel sorry for the ones that are growing up now. And it is hard to have conversations with kids. Never mind like talking about drugs and sex and safety, and now you have to include pronouns and gender. And I've heard that they have kitty litter in classrooms, so kids who identify as cats can use the litter box in the classroom. I've heard that they're taking the doors off the stalls in the washrooms in some schools. That's absolutely disgusting, in my opinion. Like, what are they trying to do? It's bad enough that they try to normalize, I don't want to say the word, but you know where I'm going with this. And try and make it seem like it's a mental disorder as opposed to a crime, when people think it's okay to touch minors. And it seems to be that that's what they're promoting. and the censorship is real. It's funny because, for the last week and a half, the hashtag on Twitter, Trudeau must go, has been trending. And even Trudeau's own half brother was part of this movement. And so, ironically enough, he's done several interviews in the past with, various forms of media. And ironically, one of the people that I follow, I don't remember. Oh, I think it was the Western Standard, I want to say, possibly, or the Standard or something like that. I just watched a video of him today on Facebook with this lady. And she had reached out to him because they had done an interview back in February when the convoy was going on, and YouTube suddenly removed it. And I couldn't see the reason why it was removed, but it was banned from YouTube. And as we know, this type of thing happens. Like, when I used to cover the Feldman shit, like, that's how I lost my first channel, my big channel. And then when I was covering the convoy, I lost another one, and they did the same thing to me, except they didn't remove any material. They removed my entire channel without even so much as a strike or a warning or anything. It was just gone. And so yeah, that's what they did to this thing. And I was like, well, you guys have a legal team. Like, why don't you get your legal team on it, right? Like, I mean, but it's really because if, people in the powers that be don't like the message that's being sent out about them, then they just have, this magical powers to just do whatever they want and get things removed and just break any law they want. And like, it never ends. Corruption runs deep. And yeah, YouTube totally censors everything. And that's why, like, it's funny because they think they're the only streaming platform out there. They're not. There's a lot of streaming platforms out there. So I don't know. I say let kids be kids and don't push all of this crap on them. Like, they've got enough to worry about. Like, I mean, and I don't know. I can't even imagine. I can't. Like I said, I'm glad I grew up in the time that I did. But yeah, like, we need to start looking at other avenues of streaming. Like, and there's lots out there. There's Odyssey, there's Entropy, I think it's called. There's Twitch, there's BitChute, there's YouNow, it's called. I don't know how. There's Rumble. There's all kinds of streaming platforms out there. And TikTok. I don't really know how to use TikTok, and that's really, in my opinion, more for the young kids. I'm way too old to be on there, I think, but whatever gets the message out. But again, it's just because they erase it from YouTube or remove it or remove your channel or whatever the case may be, it does not mean that people don't have it backed up on hard drives and on phones and in files and in other locations. Like, you cannot. And there's even something called the Wayback Machine, where you can go into the archives of the internet and find old posts and stuff, even things that have been removed. There's no way to erase it completely. So, once it's out there, it's out there. And yeah, I'm gonna play around with Odyssey a little bit more, I think. Because I know some YouTubers that I follow, they stream on multiple platforms, and Odyssey is one of them. But again, like, I'm not great at technology. I come from a different age, like, I mean, and then I have a cell phone. So once cell phones became big, I got away from a computer or a laptop. That's why I didn't care when my laptop crashed, right? Like, because everything is literally at your fingertips, like with your phone, right? So then I used to be very knowledgeable at computers at one point in time, but that was years ago. And now I just would rather use my phone just for the convenience factor of it all. But, obviously you can do a lot more with a laptop or whatever. PCs are pretty much obsolete. I do have one, but I mean, I can't even be bothered because I don't want to be stuck to a damn desk the whole time, right? Like, if I want to get up and move, then you can't carry your PC around with you, but I don't know. It's crazy. So, and then, speaking of like tactics and censoring and all this other shit, I told you guys before that, because of the convoy that we had back in early winter of this year, that there's two inquiries coming up. So one is with the government. Yeah, ITT Tech, remember Edward Snowden? Haha. um, and then the other one is the Commission for the Public Inquiries Act, which is it's a different entity. It's not the government. It's established of lawyers and judges that go over this, and you can submit your concerns via an email, and I've been encouraging people to do that. But they're making information hard to find unless you know how to do digging, because they remove it, and I don't know. But anyways, then his brother's interview mysteriously goes missing off the internet, and it's because sensitive things were discussed during that, and his half brother Kyle said things, like, whatever they have on you, just give it up while you still can. Like, just get away, go away. You have a family to think about. You need to consider this for your safety. Like, you're my brother and I love you, and think about what you're doing, and whatever it is they have on you, just just kind of save yourself now while you still can, is basically what he said. And then all of a sudden the interview goes down. So I mean, that's his own family saying that. But again, they want to just paint the picture and do all this name calling and stuff. It's really, like, funny in a sense, but in another sense it's like, it's so childish the way that these grown ass men are behaving. He went to the UK for the Queen's funeral, and on our dime, while all the while preaching climate change, and his private jet, don't forget. And he was caught on someone's camera on their phone singing Bohemian Rhapsody, and it's just like, oh my God, okay? Like, you've already made us the laughing stock of the world. Like, you can't make this shit up, you guys. I swear to God. Like, it's just, oh my God. If I were him, I would get on his private jet and go to another country where you're welcomed. Because you're not really welcomed here anymore, bud. I don't know. I have self-awareness though, right? I pick up on social cues and people calling me names, and if I was trending on Twitter, that I must go, I would take that as a big hint. So I don't know, but that's just me. But like I said, I have self-awareness, and I don't know. Some people are not gifted with that, apparently, and that's kind of funny to me. I kind of wish I didn't have it at times, to be honest with you, but I do. In fact, I'm one of those people that notice everything. I have ADD, right? So I do notice everything, like every stupid little detail that people wouldn't even acknowledge or hear or notice. I notice because of ADD. So I've kind of learned to use it to my advantage because I've had it ever since I was a kid, right? But get this, didn't know until I was 34. So I lived my whole life with it, but I use it to my advantage because, like, you notice every single frickin' detail that others might not. So it can be a disadvantage at times. I can be scatterbrained. I could be in the middle of a thought or a sentence and totally forget what I'm talking about. Or I can be, not always organized or scatterbrained and, shit like that. But at other times it comes in useful because I can see things that other people don't, because I notice everything. So it's a blessing and a curse, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. What else do I want to talk about today? Spring is here. Woot woot. Happy about that. I'm happy to get my air conditioner out of the damn window. Noticed a lot of people that heavily claim to care about climate change never abide by the same stuff they preach. Well, you know what? In my opinion, and this is just strictly my opinion, it's not about planet, it's about profit. That's what I think. Do you honestly think that the government cares about climate change? That's where money gets funded. That it's a different, I don't want to say it. You know where I'm going with it. It's all a money grab, really, is what it is. and it's not real as far as I'm concerned. You know, I don't know. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. And I'm only basing it on what I see here happening in Canada. I don't know what it's like in other areas of the world. Maybe they do take it more seriously and maybe, they're doing it for the right reasons, but it's really, really hard to have faith in any type of institution when you've seen the worst of the worst right in front of your own eyes. It's hard to believe that anyone's being genuine. Oh, thank you for the happy birthday. Yeah, it's always been about profit. Yes, it has. I agree 100%. And, it's a way to just make more money and hide it, you know. We got so many homeless people here in Canada. I have never seen so many homeless people in my entire life. But we open the floodgates and let everybody in. We're taking all these refugees in, which I totally understand. And I have, like, don't get me wrong, I have no problem with that. The problem that I have is we're not taking care of our own first. We don't have affordable housing anymore. There's so many people on the streets begging for money and food and help, and they're just not getting it. And it's really sad. And then, the refugees come here, they get refugee status, they get all this startup money. Like, why aren't we helping our own Canadian citizens first? Help them get off the streets. Help them with whatever issues they may have, if it's mental health or if it's drugs or if it's affordable housing. Like, why not look at those things first? I just, it doesn't make sense to me, but I'm trying to insert logic in a situation where there isn't any to begin with. So the way that I see things and the way they see things are two totally different things. Get this. This is something that no other country has had. Since, I want to say October of last year, they have this thing where if you're flying, it's called a ArriveCan app. Okay. Before, well, it's still in effect until September 30th. So what that means is that you have to be up to date on your shots, and you have to fill out this ArriveCan app. So when you get off the plane, you have to go into customs, whatever, right? If you're flying internationally, you have to go into customs. And then when you're done, they're directing you to the public health. And they ask you your status, are you up to date, blah, blah, blah. And people are getting fines, like $7,000 fines per person. So, like, imagine a family of four, that's like $28,000 in fines right there. Because people are like, no, I'm not doing this. What do you want me to do? Put this app on my phone so the government can track me more? Because we all know we're already being tracked on our phones anyways. But so what happened is now we just had an election for a new leader for the Conservative Party, and he's our only saving grace at this point because he's the only one that's got the balls to stand up to Trudeau, right? And so he's only been in office 10 days, and already they're scrapping the app. But there was a CBSA officer, so a Canadian Border Security Officer, that deals with, people that are coming in. You've seen border security, right? I'm sure you guys know what he's a border guard. And he was making videos about the ArriveCan app and about how to avoid this and about how to basically get out of this, and that this isn't legal, and what they're doing is basically putting it sort of on not the company but the actual officer that's enforcing this so-called act. Okay, so he was making videos. His name's Officer Patrick McNulty. You can find him on YouTube, or sorry, on Instagram. And he right now actually has been charged, and he has a gag order. He's not allowed to speak about it, but he was making videos and he was gaining a lot of popularity. He was doing a lot of interviews. He was getting his message out. And now they're, of course, charging this man because he was doing videos in his uniform. And apparently that's some sort of no. And, you work for the government, you can't openly speak against them, right? Because we don't have free speech anymore. Like, it's so insane. Okay, so then they're also, like I said before, they're trying to censor what we say, what we do, what we post, where we post it, what we post. And the news here in Canada is corrupt and pushes the agenda of the people that pay them, which is the federal government. Well, now one of the major news outlets, Global, I believe it is on the verge of bankruptcy and possibly closing. And there was a clip that I seen on somebody's YouTube the other day, and it was the CEO or whatever of Global, and he was begging in the Senate to please expedite this bill, because we need to just, keep the people informed, because nobody watches mainstream media anymore, because we found out that and proved that they're all fucking liars. Ottawa showed the world that, not just Canada, the world. Everybody's seen what happened. So, and now they're begging us to save them and begging for donations and begging for financial assistance. I say kick them out and see you at the front of the unemployment there, bud. Unemployment line. Like, that's what you deserve. You purposely misled people for the almighty Benjamin. You didn't care what it did to them. You didn't care that it was misleading information. You just read what was on your teleprompter for a paycheck. And now you're crying to the very same people that you purposely misled for sympathy and pity. No. There was a couple cops from the old city I used to live in that was charged for solely donating to the Freedom Convoy. So it doesn't surprise me that one got in trouble for speaking out. Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's lots of people involved. There's look at what's his name? Oh shit. Danny Bulford. He used to be the sniper for Justin Trudeau, and he stepped down and he started speaking out. And he was, very, very heavily involved in the convoy. There are veterans, there are Canadian Armed Forces, there are police officers, there's doctors, there's lawyers. If you have any position of authority and you speak out, you're losing your job. And now, sorry, see, I got sidetracked because of the damn ADD. But remember I was saying about, how there was a charter challenge because they violated all of our rights, our Charter of Rights, during this protest. And the one that Brian Peckford, which is the last living signature on the Constitution, who wrote the Constitution, part of it, is alive, and he is challenging the federal government, specifically on Chapter 6, which is our mobility rights, which basically states that we as Canadians have the right to move around our country freely, for any purpose. We have the right to leave the country. We have the right to enter the country, those types of things. So conveniently, he was in court. If it wasn't yesterday, it was the day before, with his team of lawyers. And because now the government they're not dropping the mandates, they're suspending them, which means that they could come back at any time or in the future, right? So they're saying now that the lawsuit is moot because there's no longer an issue. Just like, he pulled a fast one with the Emergencies Act. It's supposed to go through the House and it's supposed to get voted on, and then it's supposed to go to the Senate, and then a bill gets passed that they're to invoke it. And he didn't even let it get to the Senate because he knew it was going to get turned down. He invoked it anyways, and he, released the thugs and cleared the situation before it even got to the Senate, so he could legally do it. But, it's one of those situations again, and now they're trying to basically dismiss this man's court case because they're saying, well, we're lifting the mandates now. And, there's no reason for this. And it's like, no. Don't play semantics. It's a precedent-setting thing. And what happens when the next pandemic comes? It's just, they're always trying to cheat the system. The government is like the mafia. And ironically, I trust the mafia more than I trust the government. Because at least there's a loyalty and an honor and a respect amongst the mob, right? There is none of those things with the government. They just push and push and push and see how far they can push you to the point that you're ready to explode. And that's what they tried to do in Ottawa. And when they didn't get the reaction that they wanted and they didn't get the violence from the people that they wanted, they initiated it upon us instead. And we will not forgive and we will not forget. I also, like, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all, okay? I believe in facts and I believe in information, and I spend a lot of my time doing a lot of research about things, okay? But I heard something the other day, and I'm hearing different reasonings behind it, and I'm not really sure what to make of it. But has anybody heard of something that is supposed to be happening? I've heard 3 different dates, so this tells you right there that there's a problem. But I've heard the 24th, the 26th, or the 30th. So nobody really knows, but basically, they're saying that the banking system's going to go down. I don't know if it's a QAnon thing. I mean, to each their own. I'm like, that's above my pay grade. Like, I don't understand QAnon. They talk in codes and all this other thing. I believe in facts. Like, I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I believe in facts that you can see, that you can research, that you can compare. And then, like, you have to look at both sides of a situation if you're going to make an informed decision. And, we lost our internet and our cell service. I think it was back in June, I believe, or July. And it was for a day. Some people lost it for a couple days. And you know what my first thought was? Is what's happening in the world right now that they don't want us to know about? Or is this a terrorist attack? That's what who knows? And we don't know what it's going to be or how it's going to be. Been saying for years the government is basically one of the yeah, they are, and I've said the same. I've always made the joke that they give HA a run for their money. Yeah. But this is not the way that a democracy is supposed to be ran, right? Like, we are not in Russia, we are not in China, we are in Canada, and we are supposed to have a democratic society. But they have secret meetings and they have these bills and they pass these things, and if it gets shot down on the one, then they'll word it differently and try and pass it through in the night when no one's paying attention. Like, there's no transparency whatsoever. And they had these magical fucking powers where they could just seize people's bank accounts and take their vehicles and assault them and destroy their property and do all of these things that were unprecedented. When it was a peaceful protest. I was there. It was peaceful. And the only violence that came were from the thugs in green, where they had no badge number, where they had no name, where you couldn't see anything but their eyes. I've never seen anything like it my entire life. Yeah, it was insanity. And I don't know, like, I mean, I never ever thought that I would see the day that a country would turn on its own people for exercising their right to protest. And peacefully at that. My first experience there was amazing. We were drinking and dancing and listening to music, and there was speeches and there was people, and we were so happy. I hadn't seen people that happy in 2 years. And they don't even realize what's going to happen. It's going to take years and years for them to realize the extent of not just the economical repercussions of it, but the mental repercussions, especially for the young kids that missed out on their proms and their graduations. People's lost loved ones that we couldn't go to their funerals. I lost a friend in a house fire. Nobody could go to his funeral. I mean, that's part of closure. That's part of the death process. That's part of grieving, is to have a means to say goodbye. Like, you're not supposed to have to die alone and not even have a funeral. But I mean, unless that's your wish, of course. But you know, they're like, people were having babies, and you know, their spouses weren't allowed in the hospital with them. Like, just the ridiculousness of it all. And you know, it's just, I don't know, they don't care about any of it, because it really just comes down to money, you know. And never mind the debt. Like, you know, Trudeau's answer is just print more money, print more money. Well, there used to be a time when you used to have the equivalent in gold or silver or some precious metal with a tangible value to be able to print money. He has devalued our money. Like, there is no, we're fiscally bankrupt as a country. And you know, his solution is, well, I'm not good at math. He actually said that. No joke. I'll have to try and find the interview, but I swear to God, he said that. I don't know where it was, but I will find that clip. I'm not good at math, but he just runs the country. No big deal. Not to see here. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's laughable, but it's not, you know, like, I'm not worried for my generation, because, you know, it is what it is, but I'm worried about the future generations, for people to come. And all I can say is that I'm so glad I didn't have kids. Like, such a fucking sigh of relief, because this isn't a world that I would want to leave to them. Not the way that it sits right now. And I think our entire government structure should be reformatted and be more like the American structure. Like, you know, they have all of these different parties, okay? Like, I mean, I don't even understand how it works anymore, because when I was a kid, it seemed like there was like the Liberal Party, the Conservative Party, and then the NDP was supposed to be for like the working class or whatever. And then now you've got like the Green Party, the PPC, the CPC, like all of these different parties. So you've got like 7 people on a ballot. Well, in Canada, because most of the voting population is like baby boomers and older people, right? They don't understand the concept of all of these other parties. And the people in the other parties aren't smart enough to join up with, you know, one of the big 3, so their vote would actually count, because really what it is a wasted vote. And all you're doing is splitting votes. And what ends up happening is this bozo gets in again. He's already been in for 7 years of this. He's caused so much damage to people, you know, that in my mind can't be fixed. Like, he's called us every name under the sun. I don't know about you, but if you've ever been in an abusive relationship, and you've got your own fucking leader calling you names and demeaning you, and having your family and your friends turn against you because of different views and opinions and beliefs, that does some damage mentally to a person. And some people may be able to repair those friendships and relationships, and some may not. So, you know, these are all things that people need to consider, but they don't. Because again, I'm trying to insert logic where none exists. You know, it's just, I don't know, like, I want to think that things can improve. I want to think that, you know, what's the word? I want to think that there's redemption, that there is a path forward. But if there is, I don't necessarily see it. But hey, that's just me. Yeah, I feel bad for all the kids that are going through all this indoctrination. Yeah, in the schools. So glad I graduated before this shit took off like crazy. It's insane out there. Yeah. Well, and the thing is some of us were forced into taking it, because if we didn't have a job. And now we're scared to death about what we've put in our bodies, because like, I'm afraid to even look at those videos. I've seen them. I don't want to know. I know, like, I don't want to know. I know though. I know enough to know that. And I felt guilty getting it, but I had no choice. If I didn't get it, I wouldn't have a job. And if I even with a job, I'm still not gonna have a place, but that's a different story. The cost of living is through the roof, inflation is through the roof, you know, and our leaders just don't seem to understand that. You know, why are you relying on other countries for their resources when we have them all at our fingertips within Canada? You know, why are they like, okay, for instance, the cost of gas, are saying, oh, it's because of the war. Get the fuck out of here. It is. That's your cover up, okay? Like, I mean, you know, and then for the automotive industry, the chips, you know, the sensors that they need for these cars are coming from China, and they're years behind, and now they're building cars without them, and soon it's not going to matter because it's going to all be electric anyways, and that's not even sustainable either. Like, I mean, oh, you know, I don't know. I don't mean to sound negative. I'm just simply talking, um, and I'm a realist. Like, I can't fake it. I can't be fake about anything, you know. Um, I just I say what I see, and if I'm wrong, I'm willing to admit that I'm wrong. I'm not saying that I'm right by any means. You may have your own opinions, and I respect those. This is just from what I have seen my own self. And again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm jaded. Maybe I'm seeing things differently. But I'm also a person that looks at every single thing. Like, you have to look at both sides of the situation if you're going to figure out where you stand. If you're only going to listen to one side of the conversation or one side of the story, then that's the only way you're going to see it. You're not, you don't have the knowledge and the ability to look at it with an open mind because you haven't opened your mind to get the information. So I don't know. That's just my opinion. I'm just talking out loud. Um, it's my birthday today. I didn't really want to go anywhere or do anything because, to be honest with you, I'm not really in a celebratory kind of mood. I think you could probably tell. um, I don't know. I don't care. Like, you know, and the older you get, the less you care, right? Like, I mean, yay. I used to. Fuck, I used to party for like a week before, you know, when I was younger. Oh my God, it's my birthday month. Woo woo, you know, but not anymore. I guess the older you get, the less intrigue there is, you know, but I don't know. I was going to spend the day in bed, just sleep it away because I really didn't care. I didn't, you know, I've been kind of avoiding Facebook. I don't want to see everybody, oh, happy birthday. No, it's really not. It's not happy, you know. But I appreciate you, you know, don't get me wrong. I appreciate you for thinking of me. It's a nice thought, but I don't know. Some people just, it's just another day, you guys. Like, it's Friday. That's all it is. Payday, you know. Woo. But it's only a big deal when you're a kid. You know, 16 was a big one because you could drive, and 19 was a big one because you could legally drink, even though you'd been drinking for years before that. You know, and then 21, you're official everywhere. You could legally drink anywhere you wanted, you know. But then beyond that, it's like, well, what do you have to look forward to? 65, so you can retire. Yeah, those are days gone by. Who can afford to retire anymore? Take a look at the workforce now. How many people actually get to retire? Next time you go into Walmart, check out that Walmart greeter and see how old they are. Or, you know, the security guards. I have to laugh, like, and I understand, you know, that they want to do something valuable and they need to financially work. But what's an 80-year-old going to do as a security guard? Like, I mean, you, physically, I mean, you know, I don't know. This is just my, people can say I'm negative. People can say I'm cynical. I'm cautiously optimistic, you know, but I'm the type of person who, like, when something good happens, I'm like, why? What's the catch? You know, give me the facts. Give it to me straight. Like, don't, you know, throw me a line of bullshit and expect me to believe it. I don't know. I've seen too much. I've seen too much. I know too much. And sometimes that's a really bad thing. It does. It's just makes you realize how much you start to pick up on how fucked we really are. Yeah. From the government holding you down. Yeah, that's true. I would love to live in a different country, and I never thought I would say that. And if Alberta ends up separating from Canada and becomes their own sovereignty, I will be moving back to Alberta if I get to. But it's hard to make that decision. Yeah. Yeah, I hear you, Evelyn. I hear you. I don't know. There's for me, there's just not really much to celebrate. Like, I mean, and I've kind of I don't know how to. But how's a wheelchair? Exactly. Exactly. And you're telling me that those buildings um are going to be secure and safe when they know the security guard has a life alert? Like Joe Biden needs a life alert and a compass. I've seen him like somebody put a video together the other day. I laughed my fucking ass off. It was hilarious. He was on the stage and it was like a montage of him trying to find the exit off the stage in like numerous videos. And these people are leading countries here. And not just that, they're putting people in jeopardy because of their decisions and throwing their weight around. And, you're poking a bear, and the bear happens to have nuclear weapons. So stop it. Don't get involved in this shit. Like, our leader's doing the same thing. Like, and of course, he's not here to see the fallout because he's jet setting around the world, you know? So, I mean, what are we going to do when it happens? He's not going to be the one in the front lines, taking the enemies down. He's going to be one hiding in the bunkers of his parliament, and that's facts, man. So, I don't know. I feel better. I come on here and rant because, quite honestly, nobody in my life wants to hear it anymore. I don't even want to hear it anymore. I'm sick of it. you know, I wish I could go back to not having as much knowledge as I do. He is an idiot. He needs a fucking life alert and a compass. I'm not kidding you. Okay. You know what I honestly think? There are people that I believe are national security threats. In my opinion. Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, the Rothschilds. Um, the list goes on and on and on. And they're trying to take the farmland away from the farmers, reduce their crops, which is a direct hit on our food supply, and steal their property from them, 30% of their property as well, and then build houses. We're already in a housing crisis. Make this make sense. And like their answer is, oh, we're just gonna build more houses. Well, I've been looking for apartments. Like it's like $3,000 a month for like a 2-bedroom. What the hell? Like they said that, your rent back when I first moved out, I think I was, I don't know, 17, 18. They used to say, back then it was a quarter of your pay or a third of your pay. Your rent should never be more than a third of your pay. Then it increased to like 50%. But honestly, I'm paying 75% just for my rent alone, not including my utilities, which I pay gas, like union gas for heat and electric. And then there's like, your phone, your car insurance, gas to get back and forth to work. And like food's on the bottom of the list. You know what I mean? Like it's just, and this is how people fall through the cracks. This is what I've been trying to tell people for so fucking long. And it's just like, they don't care, right? They don't, because it's not them. And most people in the world have like someone to share that financial burden with or go through life with, right? Like that's a different subject for a different day. But when you are on your own and against the world on your own, it puts so much pressure and stress on you that it's like you could literally fucking snap. And who knows when that will be or how it will be. I guess the mystery is the surprise, you know. But then they're like, oh, well, how could all of these stabbings happen? Or how could, you know, these shootings happen? Or why does this happen? Or why are they like lighting people on fire and pushing people in front of trains? And why are all these bad things happening in the world? Well, because you've got people walking around in society at large who have been pushed too fucking far and something in their brain snaps and they go postal. It's pretty fucking easy to see why it's happening. I can't believe that people don't see why it's happening. So instead of, you know, people having solutions to try and help these people, you know, or, you know, when you're at the light, trying not to make eye contact with that homeless person who is begging for money, I make eye contact with them and I give them money. Or if I have like whatever I got, like change or whatever, right? Like, I mean, there are people too, you know, and everybody judges in this world. Like we're all judges, right? Oh, well, they must be a drug addict, or oh, well, they must have mental health issues, or maybe they have a criminal record and can't get a fucking job. Or maybe because they can't have a shower and they don't have clean clothes that they can't get a job. You don't know what a person struggles with in this life. Some people go to extreme lengths to hide that from people for a reason. Because people don't like the truth. Well, it makes them uncomfortable. They don't know what to say. I don't know. I've always been that type of person that my entire life I have put others before me every single time. And then finally it hit me that I'm going to put myself first. And I've come to a decision that a lot of people are not going to like, but I really, at this point, do not care. Because, you know, it's just too far gone now. And like I had my hand reaching out for help, and all people did was stand on my fucking head and made sure I couldn't get up for air. So, you know, people don't care. They just close their eyes to it. They don't want to see it. And they don't realize that it could very easily happen to them at any given point in time. All it takes is one thing to hit you in a way that changes your life like you've never seen before, and it throws everything off. So during the pandemic, gang shootings and stabbings skyrocketed where I used to live. Yeah, Toronto's bad. I don't know if you're in Toronto, but like there was a lady that was standing for the subway and a guy lit her on fire for no reason. Well, that's what the papers were reporting, so who knows what is actually true, because we can't, you know, trust the media. But yeah, she was just standing there waiting for the train, subway, and he poured gas on her and lit her on fire, and she ended up dying. Or people are pushing people in front of trains, or shootings or mass stabbings like we had in Saskatchewan. You know, just, I mean, and you hear more and more and more of these things. And it's because people are walking around at the brink. Who can thrive in a world where you're under so much pressure? How can you live your best life like that? Unless you're a person that is like, oh, okay, whatever, like I'm not going to care, you know, but I do care. I do have a heart, you know. I care about humanity. I care about people. I care too much to my own demise. That's the problem. I care too much about what happens. And I see where this is going. You're in Windsor? Or were in Windsor? But moved once I got an apartment that opened up. Went from barely hearing about shootings and stabbings to hearing about them every couple days in Windsor. Yeah, like, I mean, it's happening everywhere. Everywhere. And who knows if they're even telling us the truth about how many You know what I mean? Like, I mean, the way I see things now is like, you know, we've been lied to and misled for so long. Like, it's like, what is actually true now and what actually isn't? And I used to believe in justice, but I've even seen that become a mockery of truth. And it's like, how do you know that this mind fuckery hasn't been going on since the beginning of time? Like, how do we know fact from fiction at this point? Because there's nobody that you can trust unless you see it for your own eyes. That's how I know if I can trust it or not, is if I physically fucking see it for myself. It's one big mind fuck is what it is. And I don't know, like it's just I don't know what to say. Like I try to be happy. Like I want to be happy, you know. I want to laugh, I want to have fun. But it's really hard when you see the realities of what's going on and what's about to come. And times are getting harder. And more taxes and more, like, gas is going back up again soon, they told us, and all of these things. And you know, it's this big battle between the cost of inflation, and the central banks are raising the interest rates to try and cool off the inflation. And, like, you know, rental houses are now saying that their mortgage rates have increased like $600 a month. So landlords are trying to illegally increase your rent, like way beyond what they're allowed to legally by law. And if you don't like it, then you just move, right? Because that's so easy to do these days. Um, yeah, I don't know, but keep a happy attitude, you guys. Just take it on the chin and smile like you like it. You know, that's just the way the world works now. People don't want to hear that you're upset. You're not allowed to be upset. You're not allowed to have an opinion. You're just not. You're a misogynist, you're racist, you're white supremacist, and we're not sure how long we're going to tolerate you in society anyways. It's fucking ridiculous. Watched the Windsor police and the Freedom Convoy protesters. Yeah, near the Ambassador Bridge thing was going down in real time. Yeah, I watched it too, actually. One of the guys that I'm friends with on Facebook was in Windsor, so he was covering the Windsor thing. I was following the Coots, Alberta thing at the same time, because that's another crossing. And then there was another one somewhere. Where the fuck was it? I can't remember. But those were all cleared up before the Emergencies Act was in place. So that's what's funny, is they're trying to lie to us again and say, well, this is the reason why we needed to do this. Believe me when I tell you, like, this is not like this Emergency Inquiry Act with the commission, the Rouleau Commission. It's not going to end well for the government. And I don't know what's going to happen as a result of this, because this is the first time, like, this is unprecedented in history. The only time that they've ever used the War Measures Act was during times of war. Or the last time it was used was by JT's daddy, ironically enough. And it was because of the FLQ crisis. And it was because they murdered and kidnapped 2 elected officials, and there was several bombings in Quebec. Now, that would be a situation where it would be warranted. Okay. But you know, for bouncy castles and people singing and laughing and hugging in the streets is not a reason to do that. But I want to know what happens after the commission is done. Is there criminal charges? Like, is there crimes against humanity? Like, there's treason? Like, I don't understand. Yeah. I was in Ottawa, like, when it started, and ironically, when it ended. And when it ended, it was bad. Really bad. And I actually have video of it. I put it on my last channel, but they took down my channel, but I still have all the footage. But yeah, it was insanity. It was nothing I've ever seen before. Green thugs, man. And then to top it all off, they bring out the horses. They run over 2 people with horses. And then there was like what do you call it? What the hell is that app called? Oh shit. Telegram group with the cops. And they were joking around about running over people and how fun it was and how much they enjoyed that. Like, what kind of warped, twisted fucking people are we really dealing with? And the scary part about it is these people have power. Huh. Now imagine if it were the other way around. Imagine if it were the protesters that decided to use large, massive animals against the police and the police got injured. They would never see daylight ever again. They would be brutally, brutally beaten in jail if they even lived. And we all know it. So it's different rules for different fools. And New Orleans has the highest murder rate in the US right now. Well, isn't that comforting? It's ironic because the city that I live in we're only known for bad statistics. You know, like the highest teen pregnancy rate and the highest crime rate and the highest drug rate and all of these things. Like, you know, they'd rather put in another methadone clinic, than put in like a rehab facility. Does that make sense to you? Like, let's replace one drug for another drug instead of treating the problem. So let's put on a Band-Aid on a gaping wound, feed that wound, but not address the injury. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy everywhere. Like, I don't know. Like, and like, do you guys have hope? Am I wrong here? Like, am I not seeing something? Like, are my views jaded, or like, do you guys share the same opinions? Like, what are your thoughts? Like, I don't know. Like, am I missing something I should be seeing? Like, I don't know. I've questioned myself so much because that's what they lead you to do. They make you doubt if you're on track, or they make you wonder if you're right, or I don't know. I'm not easily misled. I've been fooled before, but it's usually few and far between. But now I'm so untrusting that it doesn't happen anymore because I just expect people to be dinks. So that way I'm never disappointed, in other words. Yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting to hear others' thoughts. Like, I have a group that I run on Facebook about all this shit, you know, and I talk in there about it, a lot of it and stuff like that. But, some people are afraid to be vocal about their opinions because of their jobs, or because of, what other people might think of them. I personally don't care what anybody thinks of me. So it doesn't bother me to speak my mind. I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. Got pretty much identical views, just trying to see how we go from here. Can't trust what comes from the government's mouth. Well, ironically, I do have an opinion on what I think it would take as a starting point, but it will never happen because what I would see as, like, at the bare minimum is basically people to denounce themselves, to resign from their positions, admit they were corrupt, pay for their crimes, never be allowed to have that type of power again, and just a complete overhaul to our entire system, not just politicians, but police, judges, mayors, construction guys. Like, there's all kinds of players involved. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not fucking stupid. I know how this goes, right? Like, they're all connected and everybody's got connections. And this is not the way that it's supposed to fucking be, you guys. This is why they are called civil servants. They are supposed to represent the people. They're not supposed to hide from them like they're in the fucking witness protection program. Like, and I'm like, I'm not kidding you when I say our prime minister, like, you can watch it on CPAC, the House of Parliament. You will see, if he doesn't like something you say, he'll literally run out of there like a toddler. And I'm not kidding. Like, I swear to God, I'm not kidding. And if I did that at my job, guess what? I wouldn't be welcome back the next day. And rightfully so. But this is okay for like him to show people that this is how you handle things, right? He was a drama teacher. He has admittedly gone on TV saying that he's not good at math. He's running our country and he's making stupid decisions. And he's, in my opinion, he is fucking things up as badly as he can because he knows he's on his way out and he's just doing as much damage as he can on the way out. That's my opinion and I stick to it. And hey, who wouldn't, right? Like if you knew you were losing your job, you might as well go out with a bang, you know. But the unfortunate part is the next leader that takes his position is going to get blamed for it because it's going to take years to recover all the damage that was done, you know. But again, like I said, what I see as a path forward would never happen because they're not going to give up their gold watch pensions and they're, you know, they're set for life. And that's all they care about is themselves. That's not what a civil servant is supposed to be. And yeah, it is like they are working against us. And that's done by design because there's a bigger issue at play and it's a World Economic Forum. And I think that anybody sits on that World Economic Forum, I think that they should be expelled from government and criminally charged because you have a conflict of interest. How can you be unbiased voting on bills and actions that are going to affect real people when you have an ulterior motive and something personal to gain from it? You're not going to be objective. You're going to be biased. That is not the way that it is supposed to go. So, you know, if you're on that board, you know, under Klaus Schwab, he's already gone on the world stage and admitted that our cabinets have been infiltrated. Like, you can't take that back. People are not going to forget. And you can, you know, scrub YouTube all you want, but we have all those files backed up. Everybody does. It came out during the convoy, and people knew it even before then, but it just became common knowledge during the convoy. And it's jarring to people when you actually realize the depth of evil that we're really in. Because, you know, if you don't think that way normally, like if you're, you know, a decent person and have a conscience and have, you know, you value humanity, like your mind doesn't go to that dark place. So when things started becoming, you know, common knowledge, it shocked a lot of people, and there's still people that don't want to see it. And you know, it just hit me like 2 weeks ago maybe why they don't want to see it, because it's not good. And you know, I'm sorry to keep talking about it, but I mean, how do you ignore it? How do you pretend that life is normal when we don't know from one day to the next what's going to happen or how it's going to happen? You know, I don't know. I don't. I wish I had the answers. I wish I had the solution. Like I said, I do, but it would never happen. They will not give up their pensions. And where would they go from there? What would they do for a job? What is Justin Trudeau's job going to be next? Is he going to go flip burgers at McDonald's? Is he going to go be a Walmart greeter? You know, that's beneath him. Maybe he can go run a karaoke bar. He can't even sing either. He's a joke. Maybe he should be like on the face of a comic book because he's the joke of the country. You know, I don't know. That's not up to me to figure out where they go from there. It's up to me to figure out where I go from here. You know. Well, and you know what's funny? Man's going to become an activist. I bet. The funny thing is there is videos of him on YouTube before obviously his days in Parliament where he was protesting. I bet you he's forgotten about those days. I can't remember what he was protesting. There's been scandals about him. I talked about it on my last channel and poof, it went quick. But there's been scandals that involve very much younger women. But again, NDAs were signed and money was exchanged. So, people can't talk about things for legal reasons. And, I'll be going to try to check YouTube tomorrow and I won't be able to log in because my channel will be gone again. But, it's not like I haven't done that a few times over. So it's really no sweat off my back. Like, go ahead, take my channel. Woo. Just start another one, or I'll just find another streaming platform. Straight up. They only censor the truth if they don't like what's being said. And we do have freedom of speech. We do have freedom of the press. We have freedom of association. We are supposed to be able to speak our minds, even if it is against the government. And we are allowed, it's in our constitution that we are allowed to speak our minds, even if it's against the government. And we are allowed to offer solutions as to what we think would be a viable option going forward. But when we exercise those rights, we get demonized and we get silenced and we get censored and we get our channels taken away from us. Because they don't want this to be common knowledge. Like, is there anybody really that doesn't see what's happening anymore? Like, I mean, I don't know what they're thinking. But if they believe that people haven't, figured out what's happening at this point, then they really are dumb. And when your prime minister is trending for a week and a half on Twitter, that Trudeau must go, I think that sends the message loud and clear that he's not a very well liked man. He was okay when he went to the UK for the Queen's funeral. There was like hecklers in the crowd and guys yelling at him like, "Fuck you, fascists! Go back, get out of our country!" And oh, it was funny. And it's like, yes, like people in other areas of the world even see what he's done now. Like, so I mean, you can't hide who you are, because eventually, like, it comes out. Whether it's a slip up, you could have the best story in the world. You could pretend that you're a car salesman and have a good story and talk really fast and distract people. I like to call it baffle them with bullshit, so people don't catch. Let me give you an example of that one. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to offend anybody, but there's a community that I'm involved in that like we all do lives and things like that. So there's this new person that I didn't really know, and I still don't know, but they appeared on someone's show and they were talking about something that happened. I don't want to give too many details either because they're going to figure out who it is. I don't care if the person that did it knows what they did, but I don't want anyone to feel bad if they choose to still support that person. But I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm not going to say their names, okay? And if I offend anybody, I'm sorry. This is my opinion only, because if I see something, I say something. So here it is. There was somebody on someone's show. They were on the panel. They were talking about an instance where I'm not really comfortable saying this because I know I'm going to piss someone off, and that's not my intention, but I'm just going to say it. So there was a situation that happened, and according to this person's story, which you can tell has been told several times, it was like a car salesman's pitch, if you will, and they were inadvertently, according to them, involved in a situation where they were told to keep watch while several other people assaulted somebody in exchange for alcohol. And when they told the story, they said it so fucking fast and then quickly changed the subject like it was nothing. And then, like, I knew there was something that didn't sit right with me about that, but I couldn't figure out what it was because I was just like it was so fast, like, you know, and I thought maybe I didn't fucking hear that right, or I don't know. So I went back and watched it. And then I listened to the story again. And I was like, did I just hear what I think I fucking heard? So I went back and I listened, and I specifically heard this person say that the way that they were trying to sell the story was that they didn't know that they were keeping 6 for somebody in exchange for a reward, if you will. And allegedly, according to this person, didn't know what was happening until it happened. This is the story that they were trying to sell. But then instantly changed the subject and put it on somebody else and drew the attention away from what they had just admitted on a very public forum. And it was like, that is so not okay with me. Like, that is so not okay. And I don't know if the person that was hosting the show even realized what this person had said. But like, I was absolutely shocked when I heard that, because I was like, did this motherfucker just come on YouTube and admit to basically, I don't know what type of an accessory, I guess, to a crime, and admit it openly on YouTube? and then tried to take the focus off themselves and threw it in a different direction so nobody would question what that person had just said. Do you guys, am I making sense? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm trying my very hardest not to disclose, you know, who this person is or who it was, whose show it was, or anything like that. But I was just like, I can't support this. Like, this, that I draw the line at that. Like, that, there's no, you're not a good person, and I don't believe anything you say now. And I think you're a fucking car salesman. I think you sell a story. I think you have told your story so much that it just flies out, and then you quickly divert it. Like, I know how games are played, and I know how car salesmen are, and this person is a fucking car salesman through and through. And that's what happened in that live. And like, I don't feel right about it now. And I will not be taking part on anything that this individual is involved in, because it's like, I just don't support that type of thing. Like, I mean, it wasn't like, you know, it was a very serious crime. And it's not something that you could take back once it's out there. Like, you can't really talk your way out of it now. Like, there's nothing that this person could say that would change my outlook on them now. Like, they've shown their true colors to me, and I don't like it. And that's my choice not to like it. And it's just like, it's their choice, you know, the other person's choice, that if they choose to support that type of individual, that's okay. Because I would never tell anybody who a person can or cannot support. That's not my place. It's not my business. It's just not how I roll. Nor would I expect anybody to tell me who to hang out with, or who I support, or who I respect, or whatever. But when people tell you or show you who they are, believe them. Don't let your mind talk you out of something that you know is fucking wrong. And I've always followed my gut. And you know why I follow my gut? Because it keeps me alive. It's kept me alive in situations that I probably even shouldn't be sitting here right now talking to you guys, in fact. But I've even followed my gut in situations where my gut and my heart and my head did not align, but I always followed my gut. And it's kept me alive this long. So if I'm wrong, I have no problem saying I'm wrong. If I make a mistake, I have no problem owning up to that shit. I would rather be like, hey guys, I fucked up. I did this, you know, before that person comes to me, you know, like, that's just the type of person I am and have always been. But, you know, loyalty and truth and honor are all things of the past. Like nobody respects those values anymore. It just doesn't exist. Everybody is just out for themselves now. It's all for one. Huh. That's it. It used to be all for one, one for all, but now it's just all for one, and that's it. That's the new saying. And you know what? I don't like that saying. Every time I see Trudeau must go trend, well, Twitter's playing games with it because, you know, like I was taking screenshots to show that like it was gaining momentum by the day, and then they wiped it out. And the ones that stand with Trudeau and are like, oh, well, what rights did you lose? Tells me right away that you've never read the Charter of Rights. And you know what? Quite honestly, I don't have the patience or the energy to try and educate people. Like, dude, if you don't understand it now, you're a fucking idiot and there's no help for you. And most of those people are from Ottawa. And I'm telling you right now, Ottawa is an evil place. I seen a video. It was on Twitter actually. And I knew where it happened just by the video. And this chick was running, okay? She went for a jog. And she wasn't wearing a bra. And I don't fucking know why, as a woman, if you have boobs, you need to be wearing a goddamn bra. Like, those things are going to be hitting you in the face, okay? But having said that, she was running without a bra. And I'm not kidding you. Like, a mob attacked her. Like, this woman was, like, literally knocked the shit out of her. And she was scared and she was filming it, of course, because, you know, like, you need to have proof because it's like there was a group of them and one girl. So like obviously the group's gonna stick together. They're not gonna say anything about this bitch that just beat the other one up. So she was recording it. So, you know, she could call the police and she finally managed to make it to her car after like a very long confrontation, a physical battle and everything else. She's getting in her car, she's on the phone with the police, and this fucking psycho woman jumps on the hood of her car and is like screaming at her like psychotic. And I knew right away it was in Ottawa. There's something about that place that I just don't understand. It's an evilness that I have never seen before. And I don't know why. Like maybe it's like the Harlem of, you know, Canada. I don't know. I don't know what it is. But yeah, it was posted on Twitter and I was like, let me guess. This is from Ottawa. And she's like, yeah, it was. And I'm like, no shit. Like I know. Yeah, same. People keep telling us we need to sit down with them and educate them on, yeah, like, okay, you know what? I don't need to educate anybody on anything. They need to fucking figure it out for themselves. Trudeau is screwing everyone over. Like, have you tried to talk to them? They are delusional. They are delusional. And, you know, I can tell instantly when they're like, what rights have you lost? Okay, well, I'm not going to waste my energy. Like, I just don't care. I don't care what they think. I really don't. And no matter what you say, you're just going to waste your energy trying to convince them when they've already made up their mind. Like, these people are like, oh, I have PTSD from honking. Okay, listen here, bitch. I have PTSD, and it's from a real fucking thing that I kind of don't want to disclose. It's personal. It's my story. It was very traumatic, and it was for a long period of time, okay? And it's a real thing and it has real consequences. And to insult somebody that actually struggles with that shit because of horns, I can't tell you the things that I want to do to that person to show them what PTSD really is because they have no fucking idea. And like, if you don't want to be in a situation where you don't want to see protests, then maybe don't live in the nation's capital. Huh? Hello? Right? That's where people are going to go. That's where the federal government is. If you have beef with the federal government, are you going to go where? Where are you going to go? You're going to go to where they are. And where's that? Ottawa. You don't like it? Move. That's what they tell us. You know, they call us all kinds of names. I've seen, like, there's a place called Billings Bridge. And there was people, protesters, that were held hostage by people from Ottawa. And, like, literally held hostage. Like, if you don't agree, move on. Like, I'm not telling you what to think. So don't tell me what to think. And don't get in my space because if you do, you're going to really fucking regret it. I can promise you that. I can guarantee you that. And I won't need to call 911. Promise. That'll be the last thing I do. It is a real slap in the face. And it raises my blood pressure to a point that it's like I can't tell you what I want to do to them, but it's it's very serious. PTSD is a very real thing. It's a very misunderstood thing as well, because a lot of people only think that veterans have it, and it's not something that you can see on the outside. So to look at someone, you wouldn't know that they have it unless they tell you they have it. So it's one of those silent killers, right? Just like all the other issues, like, and a lot of people don't want to disclose, information about themselves because this is YouTube. I've done that before, and I've had all kinds of things that thrown at me in my face that should never have been said, never mind spoken or said out loud or live streamed about, or like it's just there's certain things that are off limits, and these people have no class and they will take it anywhere. So that's why I'm very careful now not to say anything about my personal past too much, because I'm not going to give these cocksuckers any fucking ammunition to use against me, because there's certain things that can be said that will trigger me and I will turn ghetto fabulous in 2 seconds, and I'm not going to give them the knowledge of knowing how to do that. And they can do background searches on me all they fucking want. I got no criminal record. Like, I'm as vanilla as they come on paper. But don't underestimate me for 1 fucking second. I'll tell you that. So that is the knowledge that I have learned on YouTube for the many years that I've been out here. I wish I still had my first channel. It was large. I used to have a great, like, subscribers were great. Like, we used to have awesome lives and interviews, and did so many interviews, like so many interviews. And it was about Feldman, but those are days gone by. But there's another example of, people are not who they pretend to be. People can put on a false front for others, and you only see what they want you to see. Some people use that for good, and some people use it for evil. And I've seen it in both instances. Hey, Steve, how's it going? I'm a firecracker. Firecracker! There's my New York accent. I love accents. Oh my God. They're funny. How you doing? Yeah, either people love you or hate me. There's not usually any in between. But you know what? I can say this for sure, no matter what, is that whether you hate me or you love me, I'm fucking real. You don't have to wonder where you stand with me. You don't have to worry about me stabbing you in the back, because if I'm pissed off at you, you're gonna know it. And I would prefer to be that way all day long than be a fugazi. I have no respect for people if you are fake. Say it loud, say it proud. Don't fool people. Don't pretend to be something you're not. And if I find out that you are fake and you are putting on a front, I'm gonna call your ass out. I don't care if you're Corey Feldman. I don't care if you're the Prime Minister of Canada. I don't care who you are. I'm gonna call you out. So, just as I would expect people to do with me. And they have done to me, but I've always been real. And I fight for what I believe in. I stand up for what I believe in, even if it means I'm standing by myself. And I'm okay on my own, because that's how I live my life, on my own. I don't need people anymore. I learned that a long time ago. I used to always need somebody. Now I don't need anyone. I don't need firearms. I don't have any. The world is a better place, believe me, that I don't have any. But I'm physically tough, right? So I don't fear for, like, I don't feel the need that I would need to have one. I mean, it's just better for me if I don't. Like, I have a temper. Like, I should not be owning any firearms, and I don't because of that reason, and I know that. I'm very easygoing. I'm very chill. It takes a lot to piss me off, but when I do let loose, look out, because I do have a very feisty side, as I'm sure you can tell. Well, that's good. I'm glad you can relate. I'm glad, because a lot of times I end up wondering, you know, am I wrong? Am I, seeing things that other people are not seeing it the same way? Am I crazy like they want you to think? You question your values, your morals, your opinions, your thoughts, your ideas, because they're purposely fucking with your mind to make you think that. And it's all part of the plan. Like, it's easier to control people when they're confused or when there's mass psychosis, like they did in the beginning of the pandemic. You know, there was genuine fear from everybody because most of us haven't seen something like that in our lifetime, right? But it's very easy to manipulate and control people when they're under a state of duress. Like, there's a whole thing behind it. Like, I mean, there's so much knowledge. Like, I mean, I've been trying to teach my cousins and stuff, but you can only say a little bit at a time because it's so much information. Like, you cannot throw it all at somebody at once. Like, for me, the way my mind works, because I have ADD, like, if somebody sends me like a really long message or puts too much on me at once or anything like that, like, my brain will just shut down. Like, I can't read it. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the ADD, I don't know. But like, it needs to be done systematically in a way that, like, because it's also shocking too, right? And if you didn't see it before and you're starting to open your eyes now, it's very shocking. So you kind of need to ease people into things, but sometimes there isn't time to ease people into things. uh and I feel like we're almost kind of getting to that stage. Like, there's this one guy that I follow on YouTube, and I'm a lot like him. I'm actually the female version of him. um but um he's the reason, well, he's the reason the government is saying they invoked the Emergencies Act, is because, of this fake country that he created. And this is how blown out of proportion that things can get. And this is what happened to me with the whole Corey Feldman situation. And people with a very public platform, with hundreds of thousands of people watching, um, you know, people can paint a picture of you that is not accurate. And because he's like me and he could be a firecracker, I can see how people at times can misunderstand our passion, right? Like, um, because sometimes it comes across as anger, but it's just something we're really animated about. So, we might talk louder or faster, or because because we're emotional about what we're talking about. We care about what we're talking about, and we're trying to help people, right? And I can see how that could be misunderstood as something else. And, um, you know, like, okay, let me compare it to the Feldman situation. When I got called out by him, um, we had fun with it because, he called us the wolf pack and all this other bullshit. And we had fun with it, man. Like, I even got a shirt made. Like, I mean, if you're going to give me this clout, like, I'm going to make it work, right? Like, I mean, I had my old channel, like my first channel that I lost, like, had thousands and thousands and thousands of views. Like, man, um, like, it's funny now to think about it. It's kind of embarrassing, you know. He used to make videos about all of us, and it then I started to think, like, who knows who sees these? Like, what if like my boss was, like, say, a Feldman fan or something? Like, how am I going to explain this to somebody that doesn't know what's going on? So then I just kind of backed off because I felt like, I had made my point. Like, I had done what I came to do, and that was to expose his lies and his bullshit. And he never came after me legally. You know why? Because I spoke the truth. That's why. I spoke the truth, and I had evidence to support the truth. I interviewed people that also spoke the truth. But, you know, he got something called a DMCA, where like they could, but that was supposedly only for his what you call that movie that he released. But, you know, they use it for YouTube, and somehow they managed to get my channel down. So I just eventually moved on to bigger and better things, you know. But I feel like that fight prepared me for this. So I can understand how easily things can get mixed and portrayed in a way that is not accurate, and how quickly things can become out of control for somebody, and how it can affect your real fucking life. And who knows how it's going to end up with Jeremy, because he's fighting a bigger monster than I was, with unlimited resources. And like, I fear for him, because, you know, now they're making up stories about him, about weapons and all these other things. And, you know, like, supposedly this ex come out of the woodwork, you know, saying that he allegedly hit her or something in November of last year, and it was only reported to the police this year, like a month, not even a month ago. So there's nothing wrong with that at all, right? There's nothing to see here that it took her almost an entire year, and now they have charges for him in a province on the other side of the country, but it's not supposed to be related to this. We're not stupid. We know how the game is played. Yeah, Evelyn knows those days. Oh my God, Evelyn. I try not to talk about it too much, because, like, oh my God, some of my real friends are on here, and it's like, what? You know what I mean? Like, my brother even has my YouTube channel. So it's like, I really don't want to talk about it, because it's like, I have to explain things that I really don't want to. But things got blown out of proportion. People's reputations were at stake, you know. But he never took me to court. And that was because the truth speaks for itself. You don't need to worry about being sued when you're telling the truth. The UN didn't even let Trudeau speak on democracy. They said, how can you speak when you locked up protesters? Yeah. Yeah, totally. And not give them bail. Somebody said on a live yesterday, I don't know who it was, and I don't know what state this was in. It was in the US. And they said that there's a catch and release program, even if you're accused of murder. And I don't know if that's true, but if it is, what the fuck? That should not be the case if it is actually true. And if it is actually true, then why are people that were peacefully protesting held in jail without a bail hearing, when murderers can just get free? Like, I don't know, man. I don't understand the logic of these decision makers. I don't know. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Steve, are you in Canada too, or no? Or do you live in the US? Just curious. You don't have to tell me if you don't want to. I was just wondering. I feel like you're in Canada for some reason, but could be wrong. Wow, I've talked about everything today. I wasn't really planning on coming out here for all that long, but guess I had a lot to say and didn't even realize it. And yeah, I don't know. Sorry if I sound like a broken record to you guys, you know, but it's good to speak with like-minded people that understand and don't criticize and don't judge you and don't call you names and don't make you feel less than because you have an opinion that is not maybe the most popular. But I'm not afraid to be different. I'm afraid of being the same as everybody else. So that's the theory that I live by. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. My mouth gets me in trouble, and it also gets me out of trouble. But I would, like I said before, I'd rather be hated for who I am than loved for who I'm not. So it's just being real. And there's not enough of that in this world anymore. And it's very unfortunate because I'm sure there are still a lot of good people in this world, but unfortunately it gets ruined because you start judging everybody the same way, and it's really not right to do that. But it's hard when you've seen the worst of the worst not to do that. Like when something good happens to me, I'm like, why? Or somebody asks me, like, do you want to go out here? Why? You know what I mean? Like, it's just, no, not happening. Like, I have a wall up so high that, like, nobody could bring it down. I can't even bring it down. It's just self-preservation, survival mode at this point. But I would rather be that way because I've trusted too many people in the past that have burned me, that hurt me, and it just won't happen again. I won't let it. So I'd rather be alone. I'd rather do my own thing, free to make my own decisions, free to do what I want, free to come and go as I please, because I don't have to consider how it's going to affect somebody else. And for that, I'm grateful. Because sometimes when I make decisions, I'm not even sure how it's going to affect me till I do it. Then I figure it out real quick. But I don't know. That's the message of the day. Be real. Be who you are. Own your shit. Don't be a fugazi. You know, fuck the fugazis. And I don't know. I think I'm gonna leave it off here. Um, I thank you guys for joining me. It was nice to see you all. I appreciate you listening. For those of you who catch it on the replay, thank you. And yeah, I will talk to you guys soon. Peace out, bitches.